Rupert Lowe just refused to say the king is a white Briton. He sat on the BBC and talked about, in quote, different interpretations. He kept repeating that white British people will be a minority by 2063, but he would not answer the simple question in front of him. At the same time, he keeps using the word white when it suits him. White British minority, demographic vandalism, the same language that gets the online right excited. Nigel Farage does the exact same thing. He drops the word white in quote in essays and in interviews when he needs the energy. Then when someone asks if the actual decline in the white British population bothers him, he says no. Steve Laws and Zoom historian have been ass-licking Rupert Lowe for months, calling Lowe a leader, though Zoom historian has denied this, and posting non-stop propaganda about Restore Britain, acting like Rupert Lowe is the real breakthrough, as well as Restore Britain. They're actually not. They're using the magic words that all of these politicians like to use. And while they're doing it, another group has crawled into the same space. The Christ cooks and the Catholic cranks. People who will put the religion above everything else, even their own people. You've watched this pattern for years now. A politician needs online energy. He needs the young nationalist and the people who actually care about demography. So he starts using the word white, white British, white working class, anti-whiteness. The online right lights up in the soy jack. Steve Laws starts posting, Zoomer historian starts posting Ulster. Suddenly the man looks serious. People start saying this is the time and it's completely different. Then the moment he gets asked a straight question, he folds, or he says he detests ethnic nationalism, or he claims he has no problems with multiculturalism as long as people integrate. The magic word gets put back in a box until the next time he needs clicks. This is nothing new. It is the same grifting game that has been played for over a decade, and now it's been made worse by the new infestation of religious fundamentals who treat race as a secondary to their cult. What we are watching is not just a political grift though. It is also a deeper clash between two completely different ways of seeing the world, Christian nationalism and ethnic nationalism. Last week, Rupert Lowe was on the BBC Today programme. Nick Robinson asked him a simple question. Under the definition Lowe himself was using, is the king a white Briton? Lowe would not say yes. He talked about different interpretations. He tried to change the subject. He kept repeating that white British people would be a minority by 2063. He would not apply the same standards to the king. This is the game in plain sight. Use the word white when you want the online right excited. Refuse to apply it consistently when a journalist presses you. Steve Laws and Zoom historians spent months building him up. They called him the leader. They told their followers this was the breakthrough. In fact, I think a lot of people, including Carl Benjamin as he's known, would even import, and a lot of people would say this, including like with David Clues of the UNNM live stream, would say that they would never trust these people ever again, and that I, as well, with him, would actually also agree. It posted as if Lowe was finally saying the things no one else would say. Then Lowe made comments that were widely taken as him having no problem with a multicultural society if people integrate, and distancing himself from ethnic nationalists. The same people who were ass-looking last month were left looking stupid. The pattern is always the same. The magic word is used, the support is collected, then the exit door is kept open. Farage has done this for longer than Lowe. He will write long pieces about anti-whiteness being institutionalised. He will talk about white British boys being left behind in schools. He will warn about white Britons becoming a minority. He will use the word again and again when it gets attention. Then a clip surfaces where he is asked directly if the fall in the white British population from 87% to 74% is a concern of his. His answer is clear. No, that's not a concern of mine, in quote. The same magic word, the same selective use. When he needs the energy from people who actually care about the demographic reality, he reaches for white. When he needs to say acceptable to the wider public or the media, he He softens it or walks it back. The online nationalists keep falling for it. With the massive Enough Fell For It Again awards that people keep posting online, they all keep rallying around it. They keep treating every new use of the word as proof that this is time it's real. They keep ignoring the clips where he says the complete opposite. The cycle continues. While Lowe and Farage played with the magic word, another group has moved in. The Christcooks and the Catholic cranks. People who put the religion above race, above nation, above everything. Young Bob is a clear example. Someone similar to young Bob of the Speaker's Corner, he was on a recent live stream with Mark Hurlett debating Christian nationalism against ethnic nationalism. In a clip from that discussion, he stated he would rather his daughter marry a black Christian than a white pagan. That is not a random answer. It is the logical result of his theology. This Bob character treats faith in Christ as the highest identity. Race and ancestry come second. A fellow believer is a brother or sister in Christ. A pagan, even if ethnically closer, is outside the faith and therefore spiritually foreign. Spiritual kinship outweighs blood kinship. This comes straight from the Universalist reading of the New Testament. The church is treated as the real nation. Earthly people are temporary. Individual salvation is more important than the survival of any particular ethnic group. So if a black Christian is a sincere believer and a white Englishman is a pagan, the Christian is the one who is saved or raptured or whatever batshit insane Abrahamic and red schizophrenia goes on, and therefore preferable. The long-term demographic consequences do not matter in this framework. That is the heart of the difference. Christian nationalism says the highest loyalty is to the faith. The nation is valuable only if so far as it serves or reflects the religion. People can be replaced as long as the replacement shared the correct beliefs. America is 95% Christian, and yet it has the highest grape capital of anywhere in Africa. So that says a lot. Ethnic nationalism says the highest loyalty is to the people. A nation is a specific ethnic and cultural group with the right to continue existing as itself. Religion could be a part of that culture, but it does not override the survival of the people. These two positions are completely different, especially within beliefs. They are in direct conflict, in fact. One will accept demographic replacement if the new population is Christian. The other will not. Bob Speaker's Corner answers shows which side he is on. He is not confused. He is consistent within the system that ranks faith above blood. That is why people who care about actual survival of the native British population cannot treat Christian nationalists as automatic allies. Their priorities are different. Their end goals are different. They're basically just liberal, degenerate communists. These people infest the same online spaces as Lowe and Farage supporters. The brown LARPers who try to be woke and LARPers trad try to infect these spaces. They use the same language about restoring Britain, but their real priority is converting people, not preserving a people. Trying to make it mandatory to go to church, and funny enough, how would they even actually enforce this? They will call you a pagan or a heretic if you put your own folk first. They will tell you race does not matter as long as everyone is under the same cross, as long as everyone is a dim caramel person, but as long as they worship a dead juice on a stick. That is how you end up with people who will sell out the demographic future for the sake of their personal salvation project. It is the same weakness in a different costume. If a man will not even say the king is a white British, under the definition he himself is pushing, he is not serious about the subject. He's just playing with it like a kid with some food. And if another man will choose a black Christian over a white pagan, which sounds pretty cooked, for his own daughter, he's not on your side either. He's in a different cult. The people doing the arse licking never learn. Every new politician who discovers the magic word gets treated like the breakthrough. Then later on, in interviews, the politician will then fold or just quivel away. The cycle then starts again with the next one. Now the religious fundamentalists have joined, adding their own layer of insanity. Christian nationalism and ethnic nationalism are not the same project. One can accept replacement, the other cannot. The issue stays the same. The faces change, the game does not. So anyway guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video about me talking about Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe using the word white when it suits them. And I think in interesting articles, especially someone like with Pete North that mentioned, again, obviously to do with this rampant Zionism, but obviously what I'm trying to say is in some of these Substack articles, or people would talk about this in general, not just him, where he would pretty much all talk about when the online right would be then girded by all these other people like Farage and Rupert Lowe. People will then say Nigel Farage isn't radical enough, or Rupert Lowe will not be, or be the new messiah, or have this messiah complex. And I think like someone like with both of them, I do think that it is important to notice that the online right is basically just chronically online and also completely and utterly untrustworthy. At the same time, you do need a very radical support base. If people will support you online or back you up, people will be able to give you loyalty. But it isn't really loyalty. In fact, the online right are so cranky, it's gone to the point where if these people join any organisation, it will literally just crumble in on itself. We're seeing this with Restore Britain, where basically all of these people, like with Charlie Downs and also Alistair Harrison, Alistair Heath, or a few other people, where they would say stuff in interviews or constantly argue and bicker with each other. And because of this, especially when you get proper decent political allies, you end up alienating them. And this is kind of a similar mistake that happened in the Herman Party, where basically what would happen was that you invite all the cranks and the nutjobs from this, though I met some decent people within the Herman Party. When you have all these people, you do have a radical edge in policy, where you will say stuff that other political parties aren't pushing. At the same time, some of these people will take it too far, and included like with Steve Force, though I disagree with some of the stuff, especially with his total remigration. I do think that you do need some radical edge, but a lot of these people aren't really radical. They just either want to use it to grift off of via donations or something along those lines. And because of this, when you have these people try to support you, it ends up becoming a completely utter mess. It's why something like the Herman Party had a lot of its failures. It's why something like with Evangeline completely collapsed. In fact, when that offered was happening to do with Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe, where he offered his handout, he basically just decided to basically just argue, and it was a complete and utter embarrassment, especially to do with the leaked WhatsApp messages that them two have been going back and forth. And because of this, I'm very embarrassed by these politicians. It feels like a complete mess, and you might as well just get rid of Restore and just have reform, because at least when something's there, it will just do something on its own, or even collapse in its own way. But when it comes down to Restore Britain specifically, and especially all the people as well, not just the ethno-nationalist cranks, but also other people like with the Christ cooks that tried to invest Restore Britain, including like with someone like Young Bob, who ironically was in Advance UK, or UK, as some people call it, who is run by Ben Habib, who's now stepped down away from the party, and eventually that will just fold in on itself, has now gone and rejoined Restore Britain. And because he's done this, it's made it look like he just wants to use it as a place where he can just express his religious fundamentalism, which a lot of people in this country, if you don't know, in the UK are very atheist, because when the rise of Christianity happens, a lot of the other things where atheism and even paganism will rise up against it, because with to do with the Christ cookery and the batshit insane stuff that comes from the inbred schizophrenic paranoid religions or the Abrahamic systems, which are all, in my opinion, completely and utterly terrible, maybe have some uses here and there to divorce some trad Catholic type of things. But when it comes down to it, the fundamentalism will ultimately get in the way of the party's beliefs. Because if I joined, or if I'm an ethno-nationalist, why would I join Restore Britain when I'm clearly not welcome? And especially like with someone like Steve Force, who's pushing this, and Zoom is starring, in my opinion, are clearly taking money or on some type of payroll of Restore. Though I can't prove it, you really do see a lot of these people who are attracted into that type of politics, especially the Christ cooks, who basically want to accept black Africans, especially what happened with that Bob guy, who basically pretty much wants to be in a cuckold and have his cuckold daughter, quite similar to Thomas Robinson. And it's funny how these people all pretend to hate each other when they clearly don't. And they're kind of cut from the same cloth in some aspect or another. But not with me. I think as a true ethno-nationalist or true right, in my opinion, I do think that's why I haven't gone near that with a 10-foot pole, especially if you have inbred schizophrenics, also known as Christians, go near that party, and as well with unclear message and discipline, especially within interviews, and a bunch of other cranks that have joined Rupert. And obviously I use that word as kind of like a slur, but you do invite some really very nutty and insane people into politics, especially with to do with Star. That's why, like I said, I'm not in support of it. Or even something like with Reform, as I've talked about before. And as well, if you want to go and link in the description below with links to my other channels and Discord as well.